We have other callers, Lisa. You have any more comments?
No, well, I guess I have a small one as far as the no fault thing. I know for me, it took 7 years to get there. So if it had dragged out for another 2 or 3 years, along with this parallel alienation, I can't tell you if I'd be here.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of us out there that sit, depending on our childhood, I was told because of what I grew up with, why it took me so long to wake up to the abuse. So I think that's where those laws came into place. So to set that, because I have a girlfriend that lives here in South Carolina, and I guess I think they have 18 months or something like that. She had to literally stay away. He had a death threat out for her. And I know it's now like 5 or 7 years later, and she's almost 57, 58 years old. She still has to hide from this man. So to add that back into the no default thing, I think would be a tremendous. You're going to see a lot more, you know, abuse happen. Matter of fact, Jody, that Gina, you connected me to. Listening to her story.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You know, I mean, she did everything a wife is supposed to do, but yet the abuse, I mean, I couldn't sleep a couple of nights, her and I talked for some of the things she told me that went on. You know?
Right.
And we are taught, especially as women, to be quiet in this culture. In our white culture, we're taught to be quiet.
What you're talking about is a fault-based divorce there. If that abuse is going on, is that not a fault? Is that not a reason for divorce? And I...
When it's the other stuff isn't even showing up in the court. Do you want to give the court one more thing to twist around? That's I don't want to give the government the power of my personal life anymore.
I think the problem is that the government already has that power, and the family law attorneys are exploiting, and the family law attorneys are exploiting that power. I mean, how many people do you know that have had to spend a couple $100,000 on a no-fault divorce or whatever type of divorce? And it should be, there are times in which divorce should be easier and much less costly. What's happening is we have given the Family Bar Association the ability to exploit us, to ruin families. And there's a very interesting video that I put it out there by Shelby Sharp. He's an attorney, and he talked about the constitutionality, the lack of the fact that no-fault divorce is unconstitutional, and what the law used to be. And I think that what happens is, you're right, there are instances in any situation that are horrendous and that will never be caught. I think that we have to be careful about saying that we now pervert justice for many other people. You have to protect people. You have to protect women. I agree with you. Sometimes you need to protect the men because that happens as well. And when you have a man who gets sent to jail and loses his livelihood over a false allegation, there's something wrong with that too. So there's lots of corrupt things that can take place. I'm fully sympathetic. And I mean, I remember one time years ago when there was a man who sucker punched a woman in front of our house that I was living in. And I was the one, and I actually worked with the guy, of all things. I was the one who brought her into the house and who ended up calling her family and everything else about the whole thing. He disgusted me. He's a pig. But, I mean, there are other solutions.
The answer should be, we need to start doing something with these people that are filing these false allegations of abuse. Men and women would be one solution.
Right. Well, you know, Stephen Krasser just put out an article today about how perjury is rewarded. And I think that you've touched on something, Jody, is that whether a man or a woman makes a false allegation and it's perjury or it's a false allegation, they tend not to be punished. In fact, the district attorneys don't even want to deal with perjury. In fact, I was told this came directly from an attorney, said the judge does not want to deal with perjury because he or she knows that the docket will be filled up. They expect the witnesses to lie. And the only time you can really do anything is if you get thrown in jail because of the perjury. and then it's baby. So wait a minute. You swear to tell the truth, but it doesn't make a difference whether you tell the truth or not. And the reality is, if you lie, you get rewarded for it. There's something wrong with that system, and it needs to be cleaned.
Oh yeah, and then
Exactly.
another thing is you can't even put in the evidence that you bring forward. So that's where I'm like, okay, maybe all these people have, I don't know, they have their finger on this, because if we have a lawyer, we can't bring in the evidence we want to bring in to even prove that perjury exists, because they won't allow that evidence in.
And I want to address something there with what Lisa said. Lisa said, I don't want to give the government another avenue. When I don't mind giving them a justified avenue with facts and evidence and a trial by my peers and jury trials, when we take away the intrusion without constitutional standing. When you take away that, you're not giving them another avenue. You're reducing their avenue.